right, everyone, welcome to Speed Stackin, your weekly roundup of what's happening in the Steady Stack Discord. Before we dive into our content, a little reminder that everything we say in this podcast is purely our opinions and not meant to be financial advice. It's primarily intended to be entertainment and educational purposes only. So what is Speed Stackin? For anyone who missed our first episode, this podcast is meant to be a 5 to 15 minute recap of everything that happened in the last week in the Steady Stack Discord. It's put together by myself, Aaron Fire, Ria, Tony, my wonderful co-host here today, One Monomics X, Tony Sosa, and Millie Ram. We want to be a resource for the community because we know that you can't always be in the Discord, and neither can we, which is why it's such a big group project. Tony, could we get a quick refresher of how we organize this podcast?
Yeah, so week to week, how our podcast is going to be organized is going to be by intro, weekly recap on just, community recap, a recap on any sort of AMAs or spaces that happened in the past week, an NFT project that we sort of focus on towards the end. And then we do a quick little fun shout out to community members within the server and, what they're providing, what they're doing for the community. And then finally an outro.
Awesome, Tony. So how are we doing today? How just before we dive in, how are you feeling?
Good. This is our second podcast. I'm feeling a bit more comfortable. Was pretty nervous for the first one. And I mean, you're a pro, so you're totally okay. But yeah, feeling good. How are you? How's Easter?
Easter's been awesome. Got to hang out with the family today. I hope everyone in the Discord got to kind of do the same, kind of chill and relax a little bit. I mentioned it before, but I'm rocking a Batman t-shirt now by popular request in the Discord after everyone saw my curtain over the corner. They were asking for more Batman, so we had to provide. But yeah, I think we need to dive in because we need to stay true to that 15-minute recap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Tony, lead us into our weekly recap.
Okay, so this week we're going to be covering some overall exciting community news for our weekly roundup. For our weekly AMA/Spaces recap, we'll be covering an episode on the future of NFTs. So the boys dropped some juicy alpha on this recap, and they went over their experiences at NFT Miami with us. So stay tuned for that. Pretty juicy things in there. And finally, community member J-Dude will be covering the NFT project of the week. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and cover this week's roundup and then pass it along to my buddy Eric. All right, so lots of new channels coming to the Discord server to keep an eye out for. So we're going to be adding on channels such as Health is Wealth, which I'm all about that. DeFi Alpha, NFT Analyst Alpha, which features our community member Brian94, and one more on real estate. Another thing you guys should keep an eye out for is all the different application sheets coming our way. So there's a community initiative sheet, the Master Stacker application, and the whitelist applications. So these should be coming out in the next week or so. No exact date yet, but stay tuned. And also on the note of whitelist, there's currently a giveaway in effect for members who can connect Steady Stack with, some various different influencers or big projects. Some conditions apply. So, be sure to check out the fine print and all the details in the channel. And actually just want to note as well that because of this community challenge, we were already able to round up some great collaborations. So collaborated with G Money, Aqua HQ, NF Arcade, and even the Hubbies. And this is all thanks to you guys. So keep it up, and let's get to networking. Another really big announcement, I'm super excited for this one, is that Zan has recently gotten in touch with and set up a meeting with Unusual Whales. This is huge news, as Unusual Whales is extremely well known in this space. He has a Twitter account for anything sort of NFT market related information. Like I said, I have mad respect for Unusual Whales, so this is really exciting news. And one other thing to mention, and this is going to be covered later on in the spaces, is that all you fellow grunts actually have some great things coming your way, as Ready Player H has announced that we may have the opportunity for a free mint during our secondary collection. No details on this yet, but something to definitely keep an eye out on. And yeah, super exciting stuff. So I'm now going to pass it along to the incredible Aragon to cover the Twitter Spaces recap.
So to your point about the grunt thing, there was actually some alpha on the Tuesday Twitter space that I'm definitely going to get to once I work my way through this section. So this week's Twitter space, we only had one this week. I believe there might have been a Discord session that we weren't quite able to get into, but on the Twitter space itself, they had, obviously, Zan, Ready Player H were there. We had a couple of really awesome speakers that I personally follow in the space, like Dr. JPEG, and Hustlepedia was on there as well, and they were just passing out huge value. They kind of started with a talk about NFT Miami, which was a big event that took place, it was 2-3 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
And they shared their experience with networking at the event and talked about how it was really unique to be able to actually put a face to a name on the internet, because, we can all kind of hide behind profile pictures here in the crypto and NFT space. And it was really cool for them to be able to actually meet each other in person and get to know one another better and find all of those networking opportunities that came with live events. And I guess one of the biggest takeaways for me after listening to them talk was that when it comes to an in-person event, it is going to be so much more powerful than anything that you can find on the internet. Not only because of the speakers that are going to be at these events, but because of the connections that you can actually make there. Because it's human interaction. It's very integral to what we do, is being able to interact one-on-one, and doing that in person. You don't need to be a huge performer like Zan or Ready Player H in order to make connections at events like this. If you just show up and bring your energy and bring your enthusiasm, you can get in the room with people like JPEG. So moving from that point, there was some alpha about the Steady Stack community that caught my eye personally. Zan and H said that there will likely be both Gen 1 and Gen 2 instead of the Steady Stack Discord, which I thought was going to be something really unique. They referenced that it was going to be a lot like Season 1 and Season 2 of Neo Tokyo, but they're going to try and make as much concrete difference between those two. They were going to try and create more concrete difference between the two than you would see in Neo Tokyo. Because in Neo Tokyo, there's a lot of speculation. The main benefit to being Season 1 is bytes, versus with Gen 1 and Gen 2 of the Titans, they were planning to have benefits like the algorithm apply solely to Gen 1 Titans. We're working hard to build a hierarchy in the community that is linked to value. One of the biggest things for me was when Ready Player H described Steady Stack as a brand with products. He said that grunts are as much a product as Titans are, and that it's going to be a brand and be much more than software as a service with just the algorithm. So that was the weekly recap this week. And I think now we're going to be moving on to NFT of the week. Give me a second to collect my breath here. So if you have an alien for the Imposters Genesis series and you want to max the blood that you earn for minting UFOs, pets, lands, etc., everything that's coming on that roadmap, then you must choose the 90-day staking option at imposters.gg website by Thursday, April 2nd at 12 p.m. PST. Just a quick little community announcement. And now we're going to bring on J-Dude, who we set up a bit of a collaboration with. He's not actually here, but he did submit a video for us all to watch. Just give me 1 second while I share my screen. Make sure I'm sharing my sound. Go here, open this up. We'll handle it.
What is up, Steady Stack? How are we doing, everybody? This is J-Dude here. Shout out Steady Stack fam. Special shout out to Ria and Aragon Fire for having me here. So today I just want to do a quick hit in the NFT world on flipping. So the flipping game is where profits can be made, but it's a very volatile market. You're going to want to be following tracking tools where you can see volume, you can see trends, you can see sales in real time. A few free tools I use, blockprobe.io, nftscoring.com. And what you're going to want to pay attention to is volume and an entry price that makes sense to you. If you see a project where volume starts picking up it has a thin selling wall, so not many listings at a price point near the floor. If the volume is creating a supply and demand issue where the demand outweighs the supply, the floor is going to rise. So you'll want to get in right before it starts peaking, and you'll buy and set a sell wall where you're going to sell and take profits before other people start taking profits and the floor starts dipping. If you get in too late, you're going to be buying at that peak and people are going to start taking profits already. So you can always wait for a second dip, and if volume is still there, you may be able to get in on that second dip. So if you guys like this, we can talk about a few projects where pre-reveal flips have happened or when moons have happened after the reveal. But this is just a starting point, and let me know everyone's feedback. Hope everyone liked it, and best of all, let's keep stacking, fam.
Well, thank you to J-Dude. I love that kind of alpha on NFT. And if anyone in the Discord wants to reach out to him and ask for more tips, more alpha, definitely do so. And we might actually get him and even Brian94 on here for a longer form interview in the coming week. So thank you, J-Dude. Huge shout out to you, my man. And thank you for giving us just a little bit more of your time. So our next major section this week in the podcast is going to be our community shout out section. So some of the people in here are people that I have found personally to be very helpful. Some are other members of the podcasting team that found helpful. But I want to start out with actually a member of our podcasting team, Tony Sosa. Huge shout out to you, brother. You finally made a whitelist spot. Congratulations. It's awesome to see you with that golden name in chat. Congrats, bro. So shout out to @Mr. Gunner as well, who just recently became a master stacker and secured his whitelist spot inside of the Titan community. Another new master stacker would be Brian94, who, like I said, will probably be having on the podcast in the near future. You're always in chat. You're always providing huge value. I can't wait to have you on the podcast, brother. Shout out to you. I want to give a huge shout out to Seven, who recently got a whitelist. I didn't see him much in chat, but after he got his whitelist, I've seen him in there nonstop providing value, just trying to be a good member of the community. Shout out to Bella Chris and Surfer Girl 30, along with Bay Nat. All three of you are amazing. Every time I see you in chat, you're uplifting, you're kind, you're trying to push the community forward and just be, in general, good people that normal grunts like me or like Tony or anyone else in the chat can look to for guidance. So thank you so much to you guys who are always there in chat and being super supportive. I know there's tons of people that I'm missing here. So if you as a member of the community want to submit someone who's been really amazing for you, submit them. We will totally shout them out here on the podcast. And our last shout out this week is to all of our mods who have consistently been the most kind and encouraging people in the entire Discord for the last 3 weeks that this amazing community has been up and running. So shout out to all of you mods. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of this community. Tony, is there anyone you want to shout out? Anybody that's really caught your eye?
I actually, Surfer Girl, Bella Chris, Dana, like I've seen them in the chat. They like agree with you. Super positive, super uplifting, great individuals. And yeah, obviously our mods as well. They're amazing. They're always there, always responding. They're great.
Awesome. So with that, we are coming to the end of our 15-minute weekly recap. To anyone that made it this far in the podcast, thank you so much for sitting down, listening through, and sticking with us through all of this content, all of these things that we've kind of tried to pull together for you. Obviously, as always, this is a community resource. So if you want some piece of content that you found helpful, do you want to shout someone out in next week's episode, don't be afraid to reach out to me @AragonFire or anyone else on the team, which is @Ria, @Tony, OneMonomicsX, Tony Sosa, and Millie Ram. We're all here to help you and be a part of this community. So thank you everyone for tuning in to this week's episode of the Steady Stackin' podcast. Ria, Tony, any final thoughts before we roll on out of here and wrap things up?
Nothing to add really, but yeah, no, it's been great. The second episode's been great. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we can't wait to see you next one.
Bye.